Hey nerds! So, gonna continue my series on Churchill, Hitler, and the Unnecessary War by Pat Buchanan, who, of course, I heard about from Dave Smith, the supposed anarcho capitalist who's just a huge fucking mega sycophant and is just like sucking on Trump's dusty old nutsack all the 24/7 all the time now. And I'm not an anarchist or a libertarian or an anarcho capitalist, but he's just like sucking Trump's authoritarian nutsack all day long now. And anyway, I heard about Pat Buchanan from Dave Smith, and he labels him as anti-war, which is fucking rich because even though the the book Churchill, Hitler, and the Unnecessary War is Pat Buchanan's argument that World War II was unnecessary, definitely gets points for that. He doesn't classify as anti-war at all because in a section in the book, he he talks so glowingly and admirably about what British colonialism did for African countries. So he's literally a colonialist. Not this exaggerated woke thing of like everything you don't like is colonialism. No, like literally a colonialism. He liked British colonialism and like he didn't want war, but he still wanted American empire. This like nationalism type of ideology that he had that often people mistake for libertarianism because they talk like libertarians, but they're actually nationalists. Anyway, so and I got it. Well, I heard about this book also not just from Dave Smith, but because Tucker Carlson, of course, the famous Trump sycophant, also was talking on his podcast with Daryl Cooper, who is this podcast historian, who I'd say has been mislabeled as a Holocaust denier, although he sure as fuck sounds like one most of the time. And anyway, so I heard about this book from Tucker Carlson and Daryl Cooper and mainly Dave Smith because he never shuts up about it, even though Pat Buchanan, as opposed to what Dave Smith tells you all day long, is very a pro war colonialist. He's not anti war at all. And seemingly neither is Dave Smith anymore since he's supporting like fucking everything Trump does. Anyway, so let's, with that preamble done, let's get into the section of the book here, which I think is interesting, but he points out peace deals that Hitler negotiated, but which is very surprising because I didn't know that for sure. But you obviously can understand why people didn't trust Hitler's word and like rejected peace deals. Like Hitler reject or not Hitler, Churchill rejected some of Hitler's attempted peace deals, but that was because he fucking obviously went back on some peace deals and he fucking scared people into allying with him, and then he scared them away from being his allies. Like we're talking about like scaring Italy into being his ally, and then Russia allying with him, but then him being so fucking such a fucking wacko that the Russians switch from the Axis to the Allies. But anyway, let's get into this section of the book here. Selling out South Tyrol, the Tyrol, I should say. The foreign policy Hitler would pursue began to take shape within a year of his having taken control of the Nazi Party. His first goal was a Rome-Berlin alliance, believing that war might be necessary to overturn Versailles. Hitler wanted no repetition of 1914, when Italy, an ally, declared neutrality, then entered the war against Germany. So obviously, every like anyone who's heard about and knows anything about World War II has heard about the Treaty of Versailles, and it was negotiated at the end of World War One. All of the winners decided that Germany had to pay like something like $1 billion in today's dollars in war reparations, which led to hyperinflation, which drummed up support for a strong populist leader like Hitler, which is why people say the Treaty of Versailles is why World War II happened, which obviously is a massive oversimplification, but it is a factor. Although it's the only one that everyone other ever mentions, even though obviously there are a lot of other factors. Anyway, so like Buchanan is saying here, Hitler wanted no repetition of 1914 when Italy, an ally, declared neutrality, then entered the war against Germany. So we didn't want Italy to be against Germany, and you see it in a later paragraph here that he had this in mind actually long before he even declared an alliance with Mussolini, the infamous Italian dictator, right? So and Italy declared neutrality, then entered the war against Germany. In return for an alliance, Hitler was prepared to surrender all German claims to South Tyrol, writes biographer Ian Kershaw. Already in 1920, before he had heard of fascism, Hitler was contemplating the value of an alliance with Italy. He was determined even then that the question of South Tyrol, the predominantly German speaking part of the former Austrian province of Tyrol lying beyond the Brenner, ceded to Italy in 1919 and then subjected to a program of Italianization, would not stand in the way of such an alliance. So Hitler was okay with the Italianization of the south part of this uh, part of Austria, even though he himself was literally Austrian rather than German because he was born in Austria, of course. But he didn't have a problem with Italy having control of this one part of Austria. And we'll get to this because basically he thought that Italy controlling Austria would not interfere with his Aryan Empire in the east. So he thought that if he had allies and if he contained his empire to one place, that it would be easier to accomplish that empire and maintain it. And if he had those allies, like as I was saying, Italy, long before he allied with Mussolini, then that can help secure, prolong his empire once after they help him gain it. So anyway, though railing against the injustices of Versailles was a constant theme in his rise to power, Hitler displayed an opportunistic willingness to write off German lands and peoples to avoid wars he did not want and to gather allies for the new German goal, an empire in the East. Quote, almost none of Germans in 1926 to 27, almost alone of Germans in 1926 to 1927, Hitler did not complain of the Italianization policies in Alto Age or in South Tyrol, pursued with counsel of the League of Nations. The League of Nations obviously enacted the Treaty of Versailles after World War One, which led to Germany having to pay functionally $1 billion more reparations with drummed up support for Hitler, like I said, right? Uh, so having alarmed Oh, wait, I skipped a part there. Council of the League of Nations. The condemnation of Germany was unanimous, with only Denmark abstaining. A committee of 13, including Russia, was set up to consider sanctions. The Third Reich was diplomatically isolated. So they were isolated, which apparently Hitler thought would make his empire easier to gain and maintain because he would have allies to help him maintain it. And since they were a part of his empire, they could still be vassal states of the Aryan Empire, right? Okay, so having alarmed and united Britain, France, and Italy into forming the Stresa Front against him, Hitler decided the moment was ripe for a peace offensive. On May 21st, 1935, he declared to the Reichstag, what else could I wish for other than calm and peace? He obviously didn't actually want peace. Hitler went on to reassure Mussolini that quote, Germany had neither the intention nor wish to annex or incorporate Austria. I mean, this is a somewhat known fact among historians that he didn't need to have control of Austria because he didn't need to have control of it to maintain his empire. I mean, that seems like good military strategy, although it's known among many historians that Hitler he did have good military strategy because he had a good understanding of military history, but then he made more and more blunders as he got more and more sane as it got to the closer of the collapse of his empire during the end of World War II. And obviously he didn't actually want peace. He just used rhetoric of peace in order to gain allies to secure his empire so he could defeat the evil allies trying to take over his innocent little Nazi country or whatever the hell, right? So, but anyway, though, I think it is an interesting point, and I didn't know before that Hitler did negotiate peace deals with smaller countries that he didn't need to have primary control of because it wouldn't interfere with his empire in the east, and it would help him gain and secure control of his empire in order to maintain it. So yes, Hitler did negotiate peace deals. He like Hitler was certainly not anti-war. Pat Buchanan's not anti-war. Trump's not anti-war. Tucker Carlson isn't anti-war. I wouldn't even say Dave Smith is anti-war anymore. Obviously, Hitler isn't anti-war. However, he did negotiate peace deals. He didn't actually want peace, but Hitler, in fact, actually did negotiate peace deals. He wouldn't have kept them probably, but you know, I didn't even know that Hitler negotiated peace deals, so that's quite interesting.